The elevator hummed softly as it ascended the Sterling Dynamics Tower in downtown Dallas, its polished chrome reflecting Victoria Sterling's anxious expression. At 42, she was a force in the corporate world, her name synonymous with ambition and success. Her Hermes blazer, tailored to perfection, felt like armor as she adjusted it for the third time in 5 minutes. Her mahogany briefcase, clutched tightly in her manicured hands, held documents that could secure a $50 million deal with the Chen Corporation, or unravel everything she'd built over 15 years. Floor 37, she murmured to herself, watching the numbers climb. Her heart raced, not from the altitude but from the weight of what lay ahead. This meeting was the culmination of 3 years of negotiations, a deal that would catapult Sterling Dynamics into the Asian market, tripling revenue. In 2 years, failure wasn't an option, not for her, not for the 3,000 employees depending on her, not for the empire she'd forged from a cramped studio apartment, fueled by instant ramen and relentless determination. Victoria's journey to this moment hadn't been easy. She'd started Sterling Dynamics at 27, a young woman with a vision and a chip on her shoulder. She'd clawed her way through male-dominated boardrooms, outsmarting competitors who underestimated her. Now, her company spanned 12 countries, a testament to her grit. But success came at a cost. Endless nights alone in her penthouse, relationships that crumbled under her ambition, and a nagging fear that one misstep could topple her empire. The elevator dinged, and the doors slid open to reveal the marble-floored lobby of the 37th floor. Employees nodded respectfully as Victoria's heels clicked across the polished stone, but she barely registered them. Her mind churned through contract details, financial projections, and the promises she'd made to her board. This deal was her legacy. Mrs. Sterling, her assistant, Jennifer, appeared at her side, tablet in hand. The Chen delegation arrived 10 minutes early. They're in conference room A. Victoria's stomach tightened. Mr. Chen Wei and his team had flown from Shanghai for this moment. Did you confirm the interpreter? She asked, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. Jennifer's face paled. Mrs. Sterling, there's a problem. Victoria stopped dead in the bustling lobby, the world narrowing to her assistant's words. What kind of problem? Marcus Thompson, our interpreter, was in a car accident this morning. He's in surgery. Jennifer's voice trembled. I've called every translation service in the city, but with the holiday weekend, no one has a Mandarin specialist available on short notice. The air seemed to vanish from the room. Victoria gripped her briefcase, her knuckles whitening. Mr. Chen spoke minimal English, insisting on conducting serious business in Mandarin. Without a translator, the deal would collapse. How long do we have? She asked, her CEO mask slipping for a moment. 15 minutes before they expect us in the conference room. Victoria closed her eyes, the weight of 3,000 jobs and her company's future pressing down on her. She'd sacrificed too much to let it all crumble over a missing translator. Keep calling, she ordered. Offer double rates triple if you have to. I'll stall them somehow. As Jennifer hurried away, Victoria stood alone in her marble kingdom, watching her empire teeter on the edge of collapse. Miguel Santos pushed his cleaning cart down the 37th floor hallway, humming a tune from his childhood in Guadalajara. At 34, his weathered hands and kind eyes told a story of resilience. He'd been a night shift janitor at Sterling Dynamics for 8 months, invisible to most employees but grateful for the steady work. Tucked into his cart's top compartment was a framed photo of his 7-year-old daughter, Sophia, her gap-toothed smile a reminder of why he endured the squeaky wheels and long hours. Every paycheck brought Miguel closer to his dream, opening a small restaurant where Sophia could help serve authentic Mexican food to their community. It was a modest ambition, born from a life that had taught him to find joy in small moments. 12 years ago, he'd arrived in Texas with Sophia after her mother abandoned them. In Mexico, he'd been a university literature professor, fluent in Spanish, English, Mandarin, and Portuguese. But degrees meant little without documentation, and he'd learned to swallow his pride to provide for his daughter as he mopped the hallway. Miguel noticed the tension radiating from conference room A through the glass walls. He saw a group of well-dressed Asian businessmen, their expressions impatient. He recognized Mr. Chen from previous visits, always polite, always leaving a small tip when Miguel cleaned his temporary office. Today though, Mr. Chen checked his expensive watch repeatedly, his frustration palpable. Down the hall, Victoria Sterling paced near the elevator bank. Miguel had observed her from a distance many times, admiring her determination and the rare respect she showed even the cleaning staff. But tonight, her usual confidence seemed fractured, her movements betraying a quiet panic. Miguel's mop paused as fragments of Mandarin conversation drifted from the conference room. "We've waited long enough," Mr. Chen was saying. "If Sterling Corporation can't provide basic professional courtesy, perhaps our time is better spent elsewhere." Miguel understood every word, his hands stilled on the mop handle. He'd spent years being invisible, accepting that his education and skills didn't matter in his current circumstances. But watching Victoria's empire unravel over a language barrier stirred something in him. His mother's voice echoed in his memory. "Miguel, God gives us abilities not just for ourselves, but to help others when they need it most." The Chinese delegation began gathering their papers, preparing to leave. Miguel glanced at Sophia's photo, then at Victoria's desperate expression. Staying invisible meant letting others fail when he had the power to help. Taking a deep breath, he made a decision that would change everything. Victoria watched in horror as Mr. Chen's team packed their briefcases. 3 years of relationship building, countless hours of preparation, and her company's future were slipping away because of a 15-minute communication gap. "Mr. Chen, please," she said, her voice cracking. "If you could give us a few more minutes." Mr. Chen shook his head, speaking rapidly in Mandarin to his colleagues. Victoria caught the tone of finality, even without understanding the words. Her hands trembled as her empire began to crumble. "Excuse me, Mrs. Sterling." Victoria turned to find Miguel, the night janitor, standing in the doorway. His work shirt was wrinkled, his cleaning cart parked respectfully in the hall, but his eyes held an unexpected confidence. "Not now, Miguel," she said, trying to mask her desperation. "I can help," he said simply. "I speak Mandarin." The words hung in the air like a lifeline. Victoria stared, certain she'd misheard. Around the conference table, Mr. Chen and his team paused, watching this unexpected interruption with curiosity. "You would," Victoria whispered. Miguel stepped into the room, his presence shifting from invisible worker to something else entirely. He faced Mr. Chen and spoke in fluent Mandarin. "Honored Mr. Chen, please forgive the confusion. Mrs. Sterling has the greatest respect for you and your company. She's prepared to discuss terms that will benefit both our organizations." Significantly, Mr. Chen's eyebrows shot up in surprise. He responded in rapid Mandarin, his tone shifting from annoyance to intrigue. Miguel nodded thoughtfully, then turned to Victoria. "Mr. Chen says he's impressed that Sterling Dynamics employs people with diverse skills in unexpected places. He's willing to give you 30 minutes to present your proposal, but only if I serve as translator." Victoria's legs weakened with relief. She looked at Miguel Rayleigh, looked at him for the first time. Behind his humble exterior, she glimpsed intelligence, education, and a quiet nobility. "Can you handle technical business translation?" she asked. Miguel smiled, the harsh fluorescent lights seeming to soften around him. "Mrs. Sterling, I was a professor of international literature in Mexico before I came here. I've translated everything from poetry to legal documents. Trust me." The word trust echoed in Victoria's mind. Her career was built on calculated risks, but this required faith, a dangerous gamble. "Gentlemen," she said, turning to the Chinese delegation with renewed confidence, "let's discuss the future." Miguel took his place beside Victoria, transforming from janitor to the bridge between two worlds. The negotiations unfolded like a carefully choreographed dance. Miguel didn't just translate words. He captured cultural nuances, emotional undertones, and the subtle meanings that could make or break a partnership. "Mrs. Sterling wishes to emphasize that this collaboration represents more than financial gain," Miguel explained to Mr. Chen in Mandarin. "She sees it as building a bridge between two great business cultures, creating opportunities for mutual growth and understanding." Mr. Chen's eyes lit up as he absorbed the translation. He responded enthusiastically, gesturing toward the financial projections on the table. "Mr. Chen says that in Chinese business philosophy, the greatest partnerships are built on mutual respect and shared vision," Miguel told Victoria. "He's impressed by your commitment to quality and your dedication to understanding Chinese business values." Victoria was captivated not just by Miguel's linguistic skill but by his intuitive understanding of both cultures. He anticipated questions, clarified complex terms, and offered cultural context that prevented misunderstandings. During a brief pause, he leaned in to whisper, "The manufacturing timeline concerns them. In Chinese business culture, rushing suggests poor planning. Emphasize the preparation behind these schedules." Victoria nodded, adjusting her presentation. As she spoke about Sterling Dynamics' meticulous approach, Miguel's translation carried her conviction, her passion, her commitment to excellence. Mr. Chen's associate, Mrs. Lee, leaned forward, speaking rapidly in Mandarin. Miguel listened, then smiled. Mrs. Lee asks if you have family. Mrs. Sterling, she says successful business partnerships often reflect the values we hold in our personal lives. Victoria hesitated. Her personal life was a guarded secret, the loneliness, the sacrifices, the relationships lost to ambition. But Miguel's encouraging nod gave her courage. I've dedicated my life to building this company, she said. Perhaps too much. I've learned that success means nothing without someone to share it with. Miguel's translation carried an emotional depth that surprised her. Mr. Chen responded warmly, sharing his own struggles to balance business and family, creating a bond that transcended the contract as the meeting concluded. Mr. Chen spoke in careful English. Mrs. Sterling, your translator is a very special person. You are lucky to have such talent. Victoria looked at Miguel, humble despite having saved her empire for the first time in years. She felt genuine gratitude and curiosity about another human being. The contracts were signed as the sun set over Dallas, painting the conference room in golden light. 2 days later, Victoria stood in her corner office, staring at the Dallas skyline while holding Miguel's personnel file. The thin folder listed basic details. Miguel Santos, age 34, night maintenance staff. Emergency contact Sofia Santos, age 7. It didn't capture the man who'd saved her company. Jennifer, she called to her assistant, ask Miguel Santos to come to my office tonight. The janitor, Jennifer, looked puzzled. Is there a problem with his work? No, Victoria said softly. No problem at all. That evening, Miguel knocked on her door, his work uniform contrasting with the opulent office. You wanted to see me, Mrs. Sterling. His voice held the same respect she'd always heard, but now she detected the education beneath it. Sit down, Miguel. Victoria gestured to the leather chair across her desk. Tell me about Sophia. His demeanor softened. My daughter, she's 7, in 2nd grade at Lincoln Elementary. Smart as a whip, wants to be a veterinarian. He showed her a photo of a radiant girl with bright eyes. Her mother gone, left when Sophia was 2. I brought her here from Mexico for better opportunities. It's been harder than I expected. Victoria studied this man who turned her crisis into triumph while carrying his own burdens. Miguel, you saved my company. Why didn't you tell me about your background? He looked at his hands. Mrs. Sterling, in your world, I'm invisible, a janitor with an accent, no documentation to prove what I used to be. It's easier to keep my head down and focus on Sophia's future. What were you in Mexico? She asked. Professor of International Literature at de Guadalajara. I specialized in cross-cultural communication, published 3 books on linguistic bridges between cultures. His voice carried pride, tempered by years of humility. But here, without credentials, I'm just Miguel, the janitor. Victoria felt a pang in her chest. Miguel, what if that could change? His eyes flickered with hope, then caution. I'm offering you a position as Director of International Communications, she said. Full benefits, competitive salary, and a chance to use your abilities. Miguel sat in stunned silence. Mrs. Sterling, I don't know what to say. Say yes, she replied, her voice thick with emotion. You didn't just translate words, Miguel. You translated dreams, aspirations, cultural values. That's a gift. He thought of Sophia, the nights he'd worked double shifts, the dreams he'd set aside. The salary, he asked hesitantly. $85,000 to start, with bonuses, health insurance for you and Sophia, an education fund for her college, and a signing bonus. Victoria watched his reaction. The Chen Corporation requested you handle all future communications. They were impressed by your cultural sensitivity. They asked for me. Miguel's voice broke. You made them feel understood, she said. In international business, that's worth more than gold. Miguel rose, squaring his shoulders. Mrs. Sterling, I promise you won't regret this. I know you won't, she said. This isn't charity. You earned this the moment you stepped into that conference room. As Miguel left, he called, Sophia, Papa has news that's going to change our lives, he said, his voice trembling with possibility. 3 weeks into his new role, Miguel sat in his spacious 35th floor office, still adjusting to the mahogany desk and downtown view. Colleagues now addressed him as Director Santos, but some executives whispered doubts about Victoria's decision to promote a janitor. Miguel felt their skeptical stares, heard the condescension in their voices. Papa, your office is Bigger than our apartment, Sophia exclaimed during her first visit, spinning in his chair. At 7, she adapted to their new circumstances with joy. But Miguel worried about the private school, the new neighborhood, the sudden changes. Victoria had been supportive, introducing him to clients and defending his expertise, but he sensed a deeper connection, a shared loneliness, a mutual understanding of sacrifice. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Santos, Mrs. Sterling needs you in her office. Victoria was pacing, financial reports scattered across her desk. Miguel, we have a problem. The Frankfurt expansion is falling apart. Our German partners are threatening to withdraw. The Frankfurt deal, worth $30 million, was crucial for Sterling Dynamics' European market. What happened? Miguel asked. Cultural misunderstanding, Victoria said. Our lead negotiator, Richard Blackwood, insulted their traditional business practices. They're calling Americans arrogant and giving us 48 hours to send someone for face-to-face apologies. Miguel knew Richard, a Harvard MBA with no cultural sensitivity. How bad is it? They want someone who can rebuild trust, not just translate words. Will you go to Frankfurt? The weight of responsibility settled on Miguel's shoulders. When do I leave? Tonight, Victoria said, relief flooding her features. I know I'm asking a lot. This company, these employees, they're depending on you, Victoria, Miguel said, using her first name. You gave me a chance when no one else would. I won't let you down. Their eyes met, and for a moment, professional boundaries blurred into something deeper. Frankfurt's autumn air carried the scent of history as Miguel emerged from a taxi outside Mueller and Associates Glass headquarters. The German executives expected another arrogant American, but they would meet Miguel Santos, a man who understood that business was about human connection. Herr Santos, the receptionist said, surprised by his fluent German. Word had spread that Sterling was sending a cultural specialist, but no one expected a former Mexican professor. Klaus Mueller, the senior partner, evaluated Miguel with cautious eyes. Herr Mueller, Miguel began in perfect German, I come with sincere apologies from Sterling Dynamics. We failed to respect your company's history and values. I'm here to make amends. Klaus's eyebrows rose, acknowledging fault required courage in German business culture. Your German is impressive, Herr Santos, he replied in English, testing him. Why should we give Sterling a second chance? Miguel had studied Muller's history and German business practices. Excellence isn't about perfection, he said. It's about learning from mistakes. Sterling Dynamics values align with yours: quality, integrity, respect. I'm here to show you who we are. Over 4 hours, Miguel rebuilt trust through genuine conversation and cultural sensitivity. At lunch in Klaus's favorite restaurant, he shared a Mexican saying, Confianza se construye gota a gota. Trust is built, drop by drop. Klaus smiled. In 40 years, I've rarely met someone who understands that relationships matter more than contracts. By evening, preliminary agreements were reached, and Klaus invited Miguel to dinner with his family, an honor rarely extended. Tell Mrs. Sterling that Mueller and Associates looks forward to a long partnership, Klaus said. You've given me hope that American business is changing. Miguel called Victoria from his hotel, exhausted but triumphant. The Frankfurt deal is back on track. Klaus wants to fly to Dallas next month to finalize. You're incredible, Victoria said, her voice thick with emotion. We're partners in this, Miguel. Your vision, my execution, we're building something special. Back in Dallas, Miguel's success transformed his standing. Colleagues, once skeptical, now sought his advice, calling him Sterling's secret weapon. But success brought pressures. Constant travel to London, Tokyo, and São Paulo pulled him from Sofia. Papa, you missed my school play, she said one evening, her words cutting deep. I'm sorry, Mia, Miguel said, kneeling beside her. Papa's working for a better life. Are we rich now? Sophia asked. We're comfortable, but the most important thing is that Papa loves you. Meanwhile, Victoria grappled with her feelings for Miguel. His success thrilled her, but their connection frightened her. You're softer with him, Jennifer observed. Happier. Victoria turned away, hiding her flush. Admitting her feelings felt like risking everything they'd built. Late one Friday, Miguel returned from Milan with news. Victoria, Carlo Rosine offered me a position director of European operations, based in Rome. He named a staggering salary. Victoria's breath caught. Losing Miguel would devastate Sterling Dynamics and her heart. What do you want to do? She asked. Miguel stepped closer. I've been thinking about what success means. 6 months ago, I was invisible. Now I have opportunities I never dreamed of. But I'm missing Sophia's childhood and I'm falling in love with someone I can't have. Victoria's heart stopped. Miguel, she whispered. I know this complicates everything, he said. But what we have, it's more than business. You feel it too. Yes, she admitted, her walls crumbling. I feel it. Before they could continue, her phone rang the emergency line. Mrs. Sterling, this is Mrs. Patterson from Sophia's school. Sophia collapsed during recess. She's at Children's Medical Center. Miguel grabbed the phone. What happened? To my daughter, she had a seizure, but she's stable. They need you at the hospital. The hospital was a blur of worry and prayers. Victoria stayed beside Miguel, holding his hand as they waited. Dr. Emily Chen emerged. Sophia had a febrile seizure from an ear infection. She'd be fine. In Sophia's room, the little girl's eyes lit up. Papa, Miss Victoria, I was so scared, but you were both here. She looked at Victoria. Papa smiles different when he talks about you. As Sophia slept, Miguel and Victoria sat in silence, holding hands. The job in Rome doesn't matter, Victoria said. Nothing matters except the people we love. You saved my family, Miguel said. You gave Sophia stability, hope, and you saved me, Victoria replied. You showed me that success means nothing if you're alone. As dawn broke, they kissed. Two people who'd found something worth more than any empire. 2 months later, Sterling Dynamics faced a hostile takeover by Blackstone Industries. They're offering 30% above market value, Victoria's lawyer said during an emergency board meeting. Unless we present an alternative, shareholders will vote for the takeover in 3 days. Victoria sat at the head of the conference table, surrounded by wavering board members. There has to be another option, she said. There is, said Harold Winters, a veteran board member. Blackstone underestimates our international partnerships. All eyes turned to Miguel. Blackstone sees us as a domestic company to strip and sell, he said, but our partnerships with Chen, Mueller, and others represent value they can't calculate. He displayed projections showing exponential growth. These partners chose us because of trust and cultural understanding. Blackstone can't acquire that. What are you proposing? Harold asked. Accelerate our international expansion, Miguel said. I have commitments from partners in 12 countries to invest directly in Sterling Dynamics, a global partnership that makes us too valuable to acquire. Victoria felt pride and love as Miguel commanded the room. The board votes tomorrow, she said. Tonight, Miguel has full authority to negotiate. Alone in her office, Victoria took his hands. Are you sure about this? If it fails, we go down together. You saw something in me no one else did, Miguel said. Now trust me one more time, not just with your company, but with our future. I've never trusted anyone the way I trust you, she said. The next 72 hours were a symphony of diplomacy. Miguel coordinated calls across time zones, speaking 5 languages and leveraging every relationship he'd built. Klaus Mueller committed $5 million, Chen Wei $10 million, and others followed. The breakthrough came from Roberto Vasquez of Latina Solutions, who pledged $15 million, inspired by Miguel's story. By Thursday, Miguel had secured $47 million in double Blackstone's offer. Victoria presented to the board, we can accept Blackstone's offer and lose everything, or embrace the global future Miguel has created. The vote was unanimous. Sterling Dynamics would remain independent, funded by international partnerships. Harold approached Miguel. In 40 years, I've never seen anyone accomplish what you did in 3 days. You transformed this company. But Miguel's greatest victory was Sophia's embrace. Papa, Miss Victoria said, you're a hero. Mia, the real heroes believe in each other, he said. That night, Miguel and Victoria met at their favorite coffee shop. When I stepped into that conference room 6 months ago, Miguel said, I had no idea I was starting the most important journey of my life. You didn't just save my meeting, Victoria said. You saved me. Miguel pulled out a velvet box. Victoria Sterling, you saw a professor when others saw a janitor. Will you let me spend my life proving your faith was justified? Through tears, Victoria whispered, yes. 6 months later, they married in the Sterling Building's rooftop garden, surrounded by employees, international partners, and Sophia, who beamed as flower girl. Their vows, in English, Spanish, and Mandarin, symbolized the global family they'd built. As stars appeared over Dallas, Miguel and Victoria danced to mariachi music, proving that the greatest success stories are written, not in boardrooms, but in moments of trust, love, and the courage to see the extraordinary in the ordinary.